in a really big way. Coming up on Really Big Things. To lift a really big ship out of the water, you need an even bigger dry dock.
That'll be placed right in the middle of these keel blocks, right down the center line of the dock.
And a gentle touch.
We want to make it cushiony and soft underneath so we don't break the egg.
So you're dealing with millions of pounds and you're treating it like an egg.
Then, there's a good chance that the carpet you're standing on came from Bull U in Dalton, Georgia. That's because it's the biggest carpet maker in the world.
How big is this place?
1.5 million square feet, 24 million square yards of carpet.
And later, VLA stands for Very Large Array.
VLA makes pictures. We're receiving radio waves instead of light waves.
They're giant antennas that can see into space. How far? Try 13 billion light years away.
Look at that.
It's amazing.
Merchant shipping plays a major role in today's global economy. Whether it's a giant tanker like this, or a smaller fish processing ship like this. Maintenance and repair are extremely important. Today I'm at Todd Shipyard in Seattle, Washington. Ships come here for routine maintenance like bottom cleaning and painting, rust removal, and inspection for hull damage. But there's nothing routine about the way they get them out of the water to do it.
This huge U right here is called a dry dock, also known as a graving dock. Simply put, this can support all the weight of huge shipping vessels as we lift them out of the water. Now, all along the middle right here, they put what's called keel blocks. Now, these will basically serve to support the weight of these vessels. They'll place the vessel right on here as it lifts out of the water, and I think these guys are moving some of them around. So let's go get a more in-depth look on how this thing works. Are you Dockmaster Dave?
Yes, good morning.
So what does the Dockmaster do?
I'm responsible for picking vessels out of the water so we can work the bottom, the hull, propellers, shafting, things like that. That'll be placed right in the middle of these keel blocks, right down the center line of the dock.
And these, what are these called again?
Bilge blocks.
Bilge blocks.
They keep the vessel from overturning. If they landed just on here, the vessel could tip over.
Right.
The placement of the blocks is determined by the measurements taken from the ship's blueprints prior to the start of work. The row of keel blocks naturally must be long enough for the ship to sit on. The placement of the bilge blocks is more crucial because they must be situated below a girder or another strength point to prevent the blocks from damaging the hull of the ship, which is much more fragile than you might imagine.
So what are these made out of? I mean, it obviously looks like wood.
It's what we call a composite block. It's concrete with rebar inside. We've got oak blocking, and we have softwood caps. We put softwood caps on there because the vessel being steel, we want to give it a little bit of cushion.
Right.
We kind of dry dock things as if it was an egg. We want to make it cushiony and soft underneath so we don't break the egg.
So you're dealing with millions of pounds or millions of tons of steel, and you're treating it like an egg.
So the big question is, how do we get this 30,000-ton ship onto the blocks? The dry dock is just a floating platform. In the bottom and sides of the dock, there are 16 tanks of air that keep it afloat. Valves in the tank are open, and the tanks are flooded with water, causing the platform to sink to various depths depending on the size of the ship. As tugboats maneuver the ship towards the dry dock, the submerging of the dock begins.
I don't know if you can kind of see this or not, but the water is going onto the docks right now. You're just using gravity. You're opening valves and the gravity.
It's just gravity like you pull the plug on your bath. This morning we're going to go down just about to the 20-foot mark. What you're seeing right now is the top of the keel blocks going under.
This dock is 803 feet long and 134 feet wide. It can be submerged to a depth of 29 feet and is capable of lifting more than 63 million pounds. When the ship is at the mouth of the dry dock, it has to be literally pulled into the dock by a headline that must be taken to the vessel.
Hey, how you doing?
All right.
I'm Matt. What was your name?
John Bradley.
Dockmaster Dave sent me over here. I think I'm hopping in here with you.
All right.
800 feet of line is much too heavy for that small boat to pull. That's why we have to use the crane.
Question, how are we going to get the line if we're this high in the air?
Now we're going to go over this bridge right here.
And we're going to go on the other side there, and we're going to go right next to that boat. We're going to come on down, go right next to the boat, and grab the line.
The Independence is about 330 feet long. She is here today to have her bottom cleaned, inspected for damage, and painted. This maintenance usually takes place every 2 years. A clean hull on a ship saves on fuel cost and increases efficiency. A crewman on board the ship will use another line to retrieve our towing line and then tie it to the stern. That 800 feet of headline is now being cranked in, pulling the Independence into position. Men are stationed at all 4 corners, and they're manually keeping the ship centered in the dry dock. Now, because the hull of the ship is not perfectly even, when the dock is raised, it doesn't sit flush on the blocks. This is where the dangerous part of the docking begins.
So this is Brent. Brent, you're about to dive underneath, right?
Yes.
So what are you looking for when you're down there?
Basically, all I'm going to be looking at is going down and making sure the keel is centered up on the blocks, making sure we've got contact on all of them, and when they are, they'll just continue on up with the dock.
An air compressor supplies Brent's air, and his helmet is rigged with a camera and microphone for contact with Chris in the dive boat.
Let me know when we're going to start coming up.
Roger that.
Chris will then relay information to and from Dockmaster Dave, who will supervise this 60 million pound balancing act.
Divers in the water.
Even though the ship is secured, a sudden shift in current or a broken line could potentially be disastrous for Brent.
So that's obviously his hand on the keel box, and the boat's about, what, 5 feet above him?
It's about 2 feet, and they're coming up on the north end right now.
Brent is about 20 feet down, and he's going to measure and adjust the clearances between the ship's hull and the various blocks.
Looking good on center right there.
Looking good, Dave. Looking good on center.
If the blocks don't sit flush against the bottom, when the ship is raised out of the water, there could be serious damage to the hull.
Roger that. 20 inches vertical clearance.
Roger that.
All right, Dave. We got 20 inches of vertical clearance on the bow.
Wooden planks are used as shims to make a tight fit. This may very well be one of the most crucial parts of the dry docking procedure. Imagine what could happen if Brent's fingers got caught between the ship and the shim.
All right, we need to go 6 inches to the east. 6 inches to the east.
Okay, Lance, slack it down 4 inches.
We need to move 2 inches to the east. We need 1.5 inches to the west.
Number 5, looking good.
He's down to the very last centimeter. He's so precise when he does it. It's crazy to think about it because the Greeks built the first dry dock in 230 BC. Well, now we're in the 21st century, and we're still using dry docks, and it's crazy to think about how hard and how precise you have to be, and we have the best technology now. Well, how in the heck did they do it back, thousands of years ago?
这个人能否骗过专家？这个人能否在球技、枪法和力气上赢过对手？他为了求胜不计代价，但他能否打败各领域的专家？即使他根本毫无经验。
It's going to be awfully close.
专家速成班全新系列，4月8日星期3就在 Discovery 频道首播。
日立冷气大赠送，高品质的冷气，送您世界名牌好礼。日立变频冷气销售第一。
安怎了？
对，我阿南啦，我今嘛人在港口，包裹已经下水了。
你到底有去那海对去耍鱼无？
差不多了，只是遇到了一点小麻烦。
什么叫差不多？你首先要不去到海对上？
有，炸着单了。但问题是，他沉不下去。
到底是怎样啦？
他最后的愿望是想喝 Red Bull。
你够呆。
Red Bull 给你一对翅膀。
吃糖，糖尿病不能吃太多糖。哦，阿妈，我是睡着啦。
那你怎
怎么没感觉？
循利宁可辅助改善末梢血液循环。循利宁。
怀念的好滋味，围炉的好口味，补肾寿喜烧。
还有6天，4月1日玩命关头期 ，Yes 123 APP 随时随地找工作投履历，及时双向沟通，面试通知不漏接。找工作赶快下载 Yes 123 APP， 找工作更快更有效率。
Could humans become gods? Is poverty genetic? And could there be a zombie apocalypse? If you're as intrigued by these questions as we are, join us for an all-new season of Through the Wormhole and ask yourself, what's the biggest question of all?
摩根费里曼之穿越虫洞，每星期6晚上10点就在 Discovery 频道。双重身份
They have top security clearance.
当局不愿公开的秘密事件与接触。
We've got a cosmic water game.
探索秘密社团。
Silence is key in Freemasonry.
家喻户晓与恶名昭彰的代表性地点与人物。
Everybody wanted to know Machine Gun Kelly.
揭开故事真相。
I would never tell them what I'm telling you now.
挖掘埋藏多年的秘密，解码阴谋论。每星期6晚上8点，就在 Discovery 频道。
Now that the leveling process is complete, the water that caused the dock to sink is pumped out of the 16 chambers at a rate of 29,000 gallons per minute, allowing the dock to float, raising the ship out of the water. It's about a 20-minute process.
Nice stand over.
Yeah. So this is Amber. Amber, you're the project manager, right?
Correct.
What does that mean?
As a project manager, I worked very closely with the customer, look over the work specification or whatever they have planned or what they think they might have planned for this maintenance.
Right.
And then work with our production, with the people here at Todd Shipyards to make sure that we can get everything done in the availability or the time frame. She'll be in dock about 3 weeks.
3 weeks, so 21 days. And what are you guys going to do over the next 21 days?
Over the next 21 days, we are going to do preservation on the hull, replace the zinc anodes, which I just spoke of. We'll check to see the condition of the propellers and the shafts to make sure everything is still hunky-dory, make sure that there isn't any cracks or any kind of required repairs, because it's very expensive to have to come back on dock.
All right, Amber, so you can totally tell that the dry dock's pretty much totally lifted above the water. So what happens now?
We'll start to rock and roll. We got all our machinery and equipment and men standing around ready to get going on this project.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go help them. Thanks for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Suddenly, this 30,000-ton ship seems vulnerable. Her flaws and imperfection accumulated during the past 2 years at sea are now exposed to the trained eyes of a highly skilled workforce.
Well, the first thing we do after we dock the boat on the blocks, bring it out of the water, and we set up our 4,000 PSI water blasters. What we're going to do is clean all the barnacles off the grass. That way we can take a good look at the underwater hull and see what needs to be blasted, any rust, corrosion areas, and we'll do that with our 40,000 PSI guns.
10 times stronger than this gun?
10 times stronger than this. It's a kick in the butt.
So we're using the 4,000 PSI basically just to squirt the barnacles off the bottom, right?
Yes.
And the barnacles they just suck on the bottom of the boat, right? They're living things.
Yes, they just go for a free ride on the boat and slow the boats down.
And we're going to kill them?
Yes, we are.
Let's go kill some barnacles.
Let's go do it. Chips you feel coming on you is just dead paint. We want it off.
What the hell was that?
Dropping a bench.
That scared the hell out of me. Thought the boat was coming down on my head and that this wasn't going to help me at all.
And that's why we have hard hats.
Dude, hard hat would not help me in that situation.
Probably not.
This process costs thousands of dollars depending on the amount of repairs needed, but it also saves thousands in the long run.
Hey, Keith.
Yes, sir.
There's a huge dent right here.
Yeah, there's probably a whole bunch on this boat. They probably bounced hit some rocks.
Yeah, this looks terrible.
Probably got too close to the shore and hit some rocks.
So how are you going to fix this? Do they want this fixed?
If they want it fixed, we'll crop it out and just put in a new doubler plate.
So the next step is you wash this whole thing down, and then you're going to call the client and say, hey, look, this is what we found, blah, blah, blah?
Yes, we'll wash the whole boat. We'll take the owner. We'll do a complete walk around. See if he wants to fix any of the dents. He wants us to blast any of the rust. And we'll let the owner make the choice of what he wants done on his boat.
How come there's a curtain here?
The reason we got the curtain up is because when we're blasting up high, the wind can catch the paint chips. We don't want any of this paint chips going into the bay.
All right, you're going to show me a little tester?
Little demo here with the gun here. Let's go ahead and hit this.
If I put my foot over that, it would cut my foot off?
It'll cut your foot off.
Really?
Yeah. I'm dead serious.
Would you mind if I took my shoe off and pointed it down at my shoe to see if it cuts through my shoe?
Oh, yeah, we can do that.
I'm going to do a little demo, see if that's really true. I don't want to get my sock wet. Now, this is 100% pure leather with a steel toe on it. I'm not going to tell you what the brand name is, but it's a steel toe boot. Now, I have to wear these for other things, so go easy on it. Maybe just put a little slit in it, all right?
I'll try my best, Beth.
Oh, my gosh!
Yeah, very dangerous.
I ruined my boot. That's unbelievable.
It only takes seconds, man.
No more.
Huh?
I need to use these. Holy moly. No way. It's so hot. You feel that where he pushed? It's so hot right there. Look at that. Steel toe ripped right through my freaking leather shoe. Look at that. That is unbelievable. You saw what this baby did to my steel toes. Let's see what she can do to this huge ship. Oh, yeah.
Now you're blasting.
So, Keith, why are we doing this right here?
The reason we're doing this is to get the localized rust areas. That way we can blast them off, get some new paint on it, make this boat look new again.
So you're not going to do the whole boat?
Not the whole boat. It's called a spot blast.
This process of using water to remove the paint and rust is called hydroblasting. It's more environmentally friendly than the traditional grit abrasive procedure. It'll take about 3 days to finish blasting the Independence and another week and a half to finish everything else.
When it's all said and done, there'll be nothing but a fresh coat of paint on the bottom of that bad boy, ready to ship back out into the ocean. See you in 2 years.
It's a place so stunning, even time stands still. I am Nobu Matsuhisa. This is my secret garden. Here, nature's bounty inspires travelers to discover a magical Japan and its amazing cuisine. All chefs have a secret recipe. Mine is Hokkaido!
We don't make cars for people who want to look a certain way. Or cars for people who want to be seen a certain way. We make cars for people who want to feel a certain way. We do everything for one thing.
未来在哪里？在升学的无忧里，在退休的有余里，在投资的光芒里，未来就在亚太之光里。 在地托付，全球服务。亚太国际地产国家级授权代理，未来在哪里？亚太代理，您就在那里。0800-096-699，亚太国际地产，直达未来的带领。欢迎 MIT 人才齐心走向亚太。
古老工艺重新演绎 KT 手刮木地板。
雪肌精は教えてくれた。肌が綺麗になると勇気っていうかなんか自信が出る。夢はきっと叶うよ。
シンデレラは教えてくれた。自分を信じる勇気があれば、優しさを忘れなければきっと夢は叶う。あなたにはあなたの透明感。
30年目の雪肌精。カウセイ。
Could humans become gods? Is poverty genetic? And could there be a zombie apocalypse? If you're as intrigued by these questions as we are, join us for an all-new season of Through the Wormhole and ask yourself, what's the biggest question of all?
摩根费里曼之穿越虫洞，每星期六晚上10点就在 Discovery 频道。双重身份，
They have top security clearance.
当局不愿公开的秘密事件与接触，
We've got a cosmic water game.
探索秘密社团，
Silence is key in Freemasonry.
家喻户晓与恶名昭彰的代表性地点与人物，
Everybody wanted to know Machine Gun Kelly.
揭开故事真相，
I would never tell him what I'm telling you now.
挖掘埋藏多年的秘密，解码阴谋论。每星期六晚上8点，就在 Discovery 频道。
Today I'm in Dalton, Georgia, the carpet capital of the world. Come on, it had to be somewhere, right? Why not here? Do me a favor at home right now and look down. You see carpet? If you do, there's a good chance that it came from right here in Dalton, and there's a pretty good chance that it came from this company, Beaulieu Carpet, one of the largest carpet manufacturers in the world. I'm here now with a very important man. This is actually the owner of Beaulieu of America, Carl. Why is Dalton, Georgia known for the most carpet in the world?
It's historic. It grew historically. Dalton, Georgia was a bedspread center. Then somebody came up with a machine to make that bedspread. And one thing led to another. Then somebody thought, well, wait a minute, if we can make bedspreads with this piece of equipment, maybe with a few changes, a piece of carpet could be made.
For you personally, I can't help but notice you don't have a southern accent.
Well, I'm from Belgium originally, but I've been here 30 years, so, you know, by now I feel like a southern person.
How did you get into the carpet business?
Well, the family was in the business in a big way in Europe, and just happened to be at the right place at the right time, and then you got, you know, the makings of a big industry.
All right, right now I'm in the manufacturing facility here in Beaulieu. This is where the carpet making process begins. And this is actually carpet, sort of. It's called polypropylene, and it's basically just plastic pellets. But this is what gets melted down into the carpet fibers, and they have lots of different colors. For instance, you got red, your basic off-white. This one's called ivory. And this shade is called sand. But honestly, the colors are limitless. The cool thing about this stuff is most of it comes from recycled bottles, plastic, stuff like that. These pellets in particular are offsprings of other pellets. Let's go see how that's done. Behind these windows are different colors of plastic pellets. You have obviously red, yellow, and this is black. Now what happens is these three colors are going to mix together and actually make the color called eggshell. Weird. So they dispense all into this machine. The machine tumbles them around and shoots them down here to be melted in the molten form. And here it is at a scorching 403 degrees. Now the way they cool that down is they shoot it directly into the water at a chilled 45 degrees. So what it does is it revolves 2 times underwater, coming this way, back this way, and then finally coming out up top right here where it's actually cooled to the touch. And then it keeps on traveling and goes up gets cut. It finally turns into eggshell-colored plastic pellets. Now this is actually going to get melted down yet again to become the fibers for the carpet. So let's go see how they do that. This is where they turn the plastic pellets into yarn. And the guy that's going to show us how it's done is Sam. How are you?
Hey, man, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm just wondering, how do you turn plastic pellets into yarn? Oh, wow. What is that?
Right now, we're looking at the melted pellet that you saw being processed in the other department. They're melted and they're pushed through what we call a spinneret.
Spinneret.
Right. It's just like a big Play-Doh fun factory.
All right. Is it being melted up here?
Yes, it's upstairs. It's pushed through a large tube. And then the various colors are added according to what the customer desires. Cool air is pushed through this chimney. It solidifies before it goes down to be wound onto tubes.
So when we point it down, this is down. This is where it's coming down from?
That's down.
The molten plastic gets stretched across the rollers. As it stretches, it's cooled and then wound onto a tube. Now that the pellets have been turned into fibers, those fibers are now ready to be made into carpet. That all happens at the carpet mill, one of the dozens of buildings on hundreds of acres here at Beaulieu.
Are you Ted?
Yes, Ted Mine.
I'm Matt. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
What is your job here?
I'm the testing department manager here at the Saracen plant for Beaulieu of America.
And this is basically where the carpet making process starts, right?
Yes. It means that we make the carpet when it comes in from the yarn mills straight into us, and we put it in here and we make the first step of the carpet being manufactured, where the yarn is hung on the creel before it goes into our needles and our tufting machine. And we've got about 922 cones on this creel.
So 922 from top to bottom, just this little section, it goes back, I would say, 100 feet?
Probably about that much.
How many balls of yarn do you think we have in this whole place?
100,000 cones going through here.
Each single cone of yarn is used into the machine.
Into the machine.
So what's the machine called?
Tufting machine. This machine here will drop the roll about every hour and a half, 900 to 1,200 feet.
So about an hour and a half it takes to make 1,200 feet of carpet. How do you get the string to go into the tufting machine?
And we take the yarn in and it's just hung on the creel as we go.
So you can see each piece of yarn goes into these plastic tubes.
Okay.
Which would lead me to another question.
All right.
This ball of yarn is going to run out.
The yarn mills always leave us a tail on the other end.
Okay.
So it's a matter of splicing this end that's on this cone of yarn to this end. You can tie a knot or you can use air splicer. We use air splicers.
Excuse me there. Hey there, Sunshine. How are you?
Fine, how are you?
Good, I'm Matt. What are you doing here?
I am splicing in the crew rack.
Yeah, Ted told me that you're the woman to come talk to about learning out what a splicer is.
Well, that's what they tell me.
Can you show me?
Yeah, I sure can. Make sure the tail is out.
Right.
And hang it on the bottom rung.
Okay, make sure the tail is out.
Yep.
Just like out, hanging out like that?
Make sure it's hanging out. There you go. There's a tail on this one.
Right.
You want to connect this one with the tail on that one using that little gizmo called splicer.
So I actually need to crawl my big body back there, right?
Hey, Matt, it'll be easier if we actually do that part from the back.
Push me.
At first, it looked like Lisa wasn't the playful type. Boy, was I wrong.
Lisa!
Shh, he didn't get that, did he?
We're taking the head from this one and the tail from this one.
Exactly. You're gonna put your finger over the little hole, mash the button down, snap the yarn on this little blade right here.
Totally freaking did that on purpose, didn't you? I was just about to say how sweet you were. You sound like Loretta Lynn. You got this nice southern twang, and then you scare the hell out of me. Both in here.
Uh-huh.
Cover the hole.
Uh-huh.
Splice it. Got them. What does this thing actually do? Does it intertwine them?
Yeah, it cuts them off even with one another, and then the air actually just makes it like a fuzzball. You know how, a windblown look with your hair? It does that with pressured out.
And this is your job. You go up and down these aisles all day.
I teach people how to do this all day long.
You teach other people how to do this?
I'm the trainer. I'm the one that gets them ready and shows them how to check their lot number, hang the cones, do the knots. I actually have to teach them to tie knots, too, so on some
What'd you
machines.
give me, like a B-? How'd I do?
Yeah, I'll give you a B.
Whoever governs Singapore
must have that iron in him.
I am not here to play somebody else's game. I have a few million people's lives to account for. Singapore will survive.
客莊一群人，大家冇簡單，6隊運動會3月28，鬧熱登場。